Hey guys, Demoman here with another video. Today we're going to be talking about a very special ship. We're not talking about the Idris P, we're talking about the full fat double cream, all the way, no holds barred, dialed it up to 11, Idris M, or Idris. So the Idris M is the UEE's standard frigate, basically. This is an absolute monster of a ship. Now if you thought the P was menacing, the M is its bigger, meaner, more aggressive uncle. It's an absolute monster. It sacrifices one manned turret at the rear for a whole lot more firepower and survivability. So this is going to be as in-depth as I can make it in a short-ish period of time. So, first of all, why would you choose an M over a P? Well, for starters, for those of you who could make that choice, likely already have, the M is no longer available, only achievable by buying a ridiculously expensive game package that is a little bit out of the price range of most people when it comes to buying things for a video game after all. So the Idris P is similar to the M in terms of its shape and look from far away, but that's where the similarities really end. The M is slower and less maneuverable than the P because it has structural reinforcement throughout the hull, also having a harder skin, actually having armor. The P has civilian grade armor, however the M comes standard fully equipped with military grade A components and military grade armor. Armor is going to be a big thing moving forward in the game. Ballistics are going to soon have overpenetration where they go through the hull of your ship and start damaging the internals, taking out components, taking out conduits with fuses, disabling engines. Maybe a bad hit to a reactor means it's game over. But yeah, with soft death becoming more the way forwards, this is where ballistics and armor really start to meet. So in the bridge of the Idris, you'll find the controls are right where you need them. All the display information is where you need it. You've got your radar to your bottom left for the pilot, of course, and you also have your primary screen that allows you to go through all the different functions, you could say, of the helm. However, you have one screen, and it's one screen per seat, so you don't necessarily have all the information up at once. However, the view is amazing from the bridge. It's a giant greenhouse, basically. You've got an unobstructed view, apart from obviously the reinforcement of the bridge itself, but an almost unobstructed view of your surroundings, so you can take in the sights. So apart from that, the bridge has all the stations you would hope it would have. As pilot, co-pilot, you have gunners positions, you have people to monitor ship systems, move the power around. Basically, all the seats you'd expect to see on a ship that would be in maybe a TV show like Enterprise or something. And yeah, no, it's a beautiful layout. You've got a hollow globe area in the middle. The globe's not in the game yet, but that will also have some functionality in the future. I'm hoping for it to be more useful than just visual. Other than that, you have 4 remote turret seats at the very back of the bridge. Now, these are very important. The 2 remote turrets on the nose of the ship have really great arcs of fire for dealing damage to medium and light fighters or anything that's mounted directly in front of the ship or above it or to the sides. Really, really nicely placed. However, there's 2 remote turrets, also size 4s, that are located underneath, sort of like the wings or the pontoons between the engines. And those only can really shoot what's behind you and what's beneath you. Other than that, you then have the manned turrets. So when you leave the bridge, you'll come to what I like to call the pontoons, where you'll have 2 turrets on each side. These manned turrets are incredibly lethal. Being dual size 5s also helps, but their field of fire is spectacular. On the less spectacular front of when it comes to field of fire are the 2 manned turrets that are also size 5s that are located in the belly of the ship. You have to go down to the hangar, into the side area, down a ladder, and then you get access to these turrets. These turrets basically target whatever is below the ship. Fantastic if a fighter goes beneath you, but I'd say this is where the Idris has its weak point. these turrets don't necessarily pose that much of a threat to something perhaps like a Perseus or something truly devastating. Now, my favorite turret would have to be the front man turret. Now, the IDRIS M can mount 2 size 7 weapons to the front man turret. However, my favorite turret to fit is the one that I've put on here, is from the T-Kit, which I would advise any IDRIS owner to do, which is a IFR BC7 turret, which has 2 bespoke ballistic cannons. Now, not only are they fun to shoot, and you can get pretty carried away pulling the trigger with these puppies, but they're extremely devastating. A couple of hits from this is enough to put most medium ships out of action for good. Large ships, they don't like taking the shells from these things either. The shells, however, an interesting characteristic. They ricochet off of a planet's surface when they impact the ground. You can stagger fire them for maybe a better way of gauging your target. However, for that double wide surprise, you hit them with both cannons at the same time. It's just a really, really fun cannon to use. But the IDRIS M's other party trick is also having a size 5 torpedo rack as standard. But that's not the reason we all know the M so well. The real reason we all know about the M is because of the size 10 destroyer mass driver, a weapon so legendary that in the original description of Death of a Spaceman, they said if you get hit by a size 10 mass driver, you're permadeathed. Now, the mass driver turns the IDRIS into a thing of legends, right? It's a one-hit kill to anything medium or large. Capital ships tremble in fear when the mass driver gets humming, right? And you can have it fire quickly, so a quick burst where it does a decent amount of damage, or you can hold it down and fire a fully charged blast. But the IDRIS M is essentially a mobile base / weapons platform. Out of the IDRIS M and the P, the M is more of the hunter-killer of the two. Now, for facilities on board, it does have a deck specifically for a Argo in the belly of the beast, where it's able to dock. You also have a large hangar capable of mounting 3 fighters and ordnance for them in the side bays. You have a fully functional ATC deck, you could say. There's 3 ATC stations, which in the future, I guess, is supposed to be one for communicating with each pilot and whatnot. But it's still pretty cool that they have some functionality right now where you can open and close the doors from this station. On the other side of ATC, or the opposing side of the hangar, is a gym, which is specifically, I guess, for NPCs, because an NPC crew might be necessary for most people to get the full effectiveness of an IDRIS. Having a few NPCs that are engineers running around might really save your bacon. So in the hangar, you have 2 cargo elevators, one located on each side, and they will take you up to the primary cargo deck. Now, there are cargo grids inside the hangar, so you can put ordnance down there. Like if you've watched one of my gameplay videos, you'll see us restocking a fighter before it takes back off straight into the fray. But the main cargo area up here could be for more of your supplies and things like that. The interior of the IDRIS is interesting. It has a lot of things that you'd expect in a movie set, right? So you've got a hyper-advanced medical bay, which feels more like something you'd see in a movie, right? Like in terms of its layout and design, and it makes sense. This is one of the primary ships that serves the campaign of Squadron 42. I'm just grateful that we have it now in the verse. But the medical facilities on board this ship are second to none as of right now. And yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I love the layout. You have 5 medical beds in total, 4 for basically respawning at and also getting treatment on, and 2 nurse stations for any of you guys out there who are like in RP groups and stuff, or maybe you're trying to film a machinima. But the room in the IDRIS M that stands out the most, the one that the P doesn't have here, is the missile reloading room. So in here you can see the buckets where the size 5 torpedoes are usually held. The missile rack will fold back down into the ship, it'll be reloaded, and then it goes straight back out the top. Another area on the ship that's pretty entertaining is the shooting range. Yeah, you heard me right, a freaking shooting range. It also has an armory. Apart from that, the ship does have enough escape pods for the entire crew, and then some. Some of the escape pods are the more advanced kind, which can hold, I think it's 8 people per pod, and there's a few of those dotted around the ship, and then there's some single-seater escape pods located towards the nose. Now, it does also have a brig for those of you who like to bring your pirates or bounties in alive, and I'm guessing this is like the synergy maybe with this and the Anvil Hawk would be actually kind of fun. The prison control room is interesting. I'm hoping all the monitors and cameras are functional in the future. You got a cool seat that's the same as the captain's chair that has the swivel on it. And yeah, no, just lots of really cool, fun little rooms in this ship. Apart from that, it's got all the things you'd expect. Captain's quarters, CO quarters, locker room, storage areas, storage lockers, got suit lockers, emergency EVA rooms. You have all the engineering areas such as reactor room, gravity generator. You've got a giant mess hall. You've got enough habitation for the entire crew. This ship is fully loaded. It has everything that you'd expect a capital ship in the real world, I guess, would have. Now, what I'm most concerned about is functionality. What does this ship actually do, and what does it do well? So it does carrier operations really well. It's a fantastic standing platform. It's got plenty of PDCs, 11 PDCs for the IDRIS M. Now you can change these PDCs out for the missile kind, or you can stick to the laser ones. Now for now they target small fighters and missiles, and I'm not sure how long they're going to be targeting fighters for in the future, but you know, only time will tell. However, when it comes to taking out missiles, you want to angle your ship to stand the best chance of survival. My advice is tilt the nose down to get as many of those PDCs firing as possible. The IDRIS M is the perfect platform to build off of, and what I mean by that is, if you have the T or the K kit, you can turn your IDRIS M into very easily a hunter-killer. Now, you can make it into a support role ship, but the M as it stands with the railgun is already a very formidable weapon. Out of the two, I'd say this is the more aggressive ship. It's definitely a brawler. It's got the shielding and hull tanking capability to go toe-to-toe with most things and come out on top. Now, the IDRIS M's railgun is effective at quite a ways away. My advice is get used to targeting things that are 3.5 clicks out. The weapon itself does have a 5,000 meter per second velocity behind it, so that engine block of a shell, like a 8-liter Cadillac engine block, is gonna be flying through the air pretty damn fast, putting a hole in anything you pointed at. Especially with ballistic overpenetration, I really do believe that's when this railgun will start to shine. As you know, ballistics pretty much ignore most of shields, and the railgun is no different. It does get a little bit of a damage reduction as the shell flies through the shield, but not enough to really change the game. It will still kill you dead. Now, the IDRIS M's one of those ships where if you have the right crew, good pilot, decent gunners, maybe a smart engineer or two, and some pilots on the deck, then you're going to be almost a damn near unstoppable force. Even if you've got a smaller group available, maybe 5 or 6 people, you can still make a ship like this work. Yes, you're going to need everyone to carry around some fuses and know where the fire extinguishers are, but I believe you can still make a ship like this work. But yeah, so my opinions on this are fairly plain and simple. I'm going to be brutally honest. The IDRIS M is just small enough, just about, that you can still hide it in a high IR signature area. So potentially you can ambush someone with this ship. That's a game changer. Imagine deploying a bunch of fighters and then having that size 10 railgun, a good old ship-to-ship nose gun, and size 5 torpedoes, and the other man turrets all open up on a target as soon as they get in effective weapons range without them even knowing you're there. Now that is the kind of thing that is a game changer, in my honest opinion. Now, we know the buzzword that floats around a lot these days is, it punches above its weight. Now, the M is on the heavier end of the weight, the weight scale, you could say. The only thing that really goes up from this is the Javelin. and the battleship that's currently in the works over at CIG. But yeah, so it's a formidable ship. It's a great multi-cruise ship. You can't use it alone. Maybe as of right now you can, but when engineering comes online, it's gonna be impossible. Like, you're not gonna be able to run across the ship and put out a fire. While you're under fire, you can't maneuver the ship. But when it comes to fighting other capital ships, right now the M is in an interesting spot. It can still take on most things comfortably, right? It can take on things like a Polaris relatively comfortably. Even though, as we know right now, the Polaris has some areas on it, as of the making of this video, that don't take damage. And I don't understand how that's supposed to work, but a few ships are like that right now, where you'll shoot them at a specific point and they won't take damage. Like, you'll see the shell hit the target and nothing happens. But then there are other areas where you hit it and they just sort of crumple and fall apart. I'm looking forward to them fixing this and going over with a bit of a balance pass and all that good stuff. Apart from that, though, fun factor, 10 out of 10. The IDRIS M will put a smile on your face every time. Is it a ship you're going to use every single day? Probably not. Maybe if you're at that point where your organization's on a long-term patrol or a mission or something, and you have a rotating crew, then no, of course. Get as much mileage out of it as you can while you can. Especially if you bought it for real money. I mean, it's got a whale of a window sticker. But other than that, the ship itself is a lot of fun. Like, running around the inside of it does feel like you're in both Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica at the same time. I can't describe it. I wish I could. All I can say is it's freaking awesome. Knowing that you're on board a capital ship that's not going to get instantly completely whopped by most things is a good feeling, man. You're going around with shields and armor, especially when armor comes online fully in the future. Knowing that you're one of the toughest bricks on the block is a good feeling. Also, it means that your range of missions you can accept comfortably broadens. It's a great platform for you to launch pilots from and train them in the whole, taking on patrols and stuff. Without them having to fly all the way away and come back, you could potentially have 3 fighters on the deck, have 2 instructors go out with one of your newbies, and do the mission and come back, rearm, and go straight back out again. That is huge. Have everyone log in on the med bed, and then in case the worst happens, they die, they come back, it's not a big deal. Other than that, for ground missions, yet again, it's got a lot of storage on board for ground vehicles. Sometimes when the guys are ready to do a mission, I'll put some ground vehicles in there along with a couple of fighters. And if we come to a point where we need to do a ground mission, land a little bit far away, deploy the ground vehicles. You can deploy enough of them so you have sort of like a Mad Max flotilla of cars pouring into the base, and it's a good time. When it comes to fighters, get some Gladiuses with bomb racks for ground missions, fly them in low, have them do the bombing runs, and then the ground vehicles pour in. It's an awesome feeling. Apart from that, it's a very versatile ship. Now we come to the drawbacks. What are the drawbacks of an IDRIS? Well, one, crew. Crew requirement. You need people. Can't do it alone. Is that a drawback? Not necessarily, but it makes sense. It's a balancing mechanic. You're not going to be using this as a daily driver. And I know there's a lot of people right now trying to solo their IDRIS and getting absolutely ruined by a player that comes along and just blows open the back door and lands and then kills them. Apart from that, the doors on this ship will be getting a huge health boost in the future, because right now, if you park behind one, you can pop its doors open with some ballistics fairly quickly and fairly easily. My advice as an IDRIS captain is, when you see someone trying to do that, open the doors to make them think that they've popped them open. Wait for them to land, start to close the doors, lock the bridge down, take the elevator down, and kill them. There you go, you just earned yourself a free fighter. But apart from that, the ship is absolutely amazing. When fire and engineering come online, it's going to be even better. And when Maelstrom comes online, that's when all capital ships really are going to become absolutely phenomenal. With decks collapsing in on themselves and becoming impassable, having to use things like escape pods and things like this is going to be a fundamental feature in the future to stay alive and all that good stuff. But for what it is, it can carry a lot of ordnance, it can carry enough cargo to keep itself running, and that's basically what the cargo area is for on this ship. It's not meant as a cargo hauler or a ship that flies down with supplies. What this thing really does is it's got enough supplies on board to keep the crew and itself running. Torpedoes, missiles, tools, weapons, everything you can think of, you've got enough room for it. So let's crunch the numbers. So the ship is 240 meters in length, it's 45 meters in height, it's 125 meters in width. Top speed apparently is 110 meters per second, but you know me, if you push it a little hard, you might get a little bit more out of it. It's got a size 10 weapon, we all know what that is. It also has 10 size 5 torpedoes, which is crazy. Like, those are the ones that are loaded into the actual weapon itself. It's got one dual size 7 turret, that's on the nose, and it has 6 size 5 man turrets, 4 size 4 remote turrets, and 11 size 1 PDCs. As for cargo, it can carry 1,326 SCU of stuff, if you are so inclined to bring with you. It has got the biggest radar, it's got 6 computers on board, 2 fuel intakes, 1 fuel tank, 1 quantum drive, 1 quantum fuel tank, 1 jump module, it's got 6 main thrusters, 2 retro thrusters, and 13 fixed maneuvering thrusters. Now, bear that in mind for when you're in atmosphere in the future. It also has 2 power plants, 2 coolers, 2 shield generators, all capital class of course, and as you already know, the weapons. So, it's a very versatile platform, and by that I mean in the combat sense, not in the way of mining or salvage, right? As a combat vessel, it's very versatile. It's a carrier, but it's also like a real, like, it's your primary offensive weapon for the most case. Like this thing, the Idris M, is like a fist wrapped in barbed wire with knuckle dusters. It's not gonna leave much behind once it makes contact. It's got tons of hull tanking capabilities and great amounts of shields. It's a kind of ship that you're gonna need more than one of something like maybe a Polaris to really put a dent in it, especially with the refactor to torpedoes and all the PDCs and everything like that. Polaris is more of a hunter-killer, I guess, that would be more suited to going after something like a Kraken. This, like the Idris M, as I mentioned, is a fully military-grade ship. It's not a civilian ship, not even close. We all know how dangerous the military variant of the Hornet is. Now dial that up to 11 and scale it up to capital ship size, and that's literally what you're looking at here. It's no joke. Like, I can't stress that enough. So many people think, oh, I have an Idris P, I'll just put on the railgun, and that means it's just like an Idris M. It's not at all. It's not gonna be the same thing. Is what I'm gonna say. Put it politely. But yeah, the Idris M has structural reinforcement in the lore to reinforce its spine for the recoil from the railgun, and then apart from that, it also has hull armor that is like god tier military grade, the kind of stuff that, you know, bullets bounce off. You know what I mean? It's not like the civilian grade stuff we're used to. Put it this way, Drake has a different approach. Bullets don't bounce off, they more or less just pass cleanly through and nothing happens. This, on the other hand, will bounce the bullets right back at where they came from, right? You know, it's that kind of approach. It's an absolute juggernaut. The Idris P, amazing ship. If you've got one, you're a lucky guy. They're everywhere right now, but at the same time, the Idris P is a glorious ship. Really cool, totally love it, solid, right? But the Idris M, if you're in a P, my advice is just leave it alone. Don't start a fight. Not worth it. Not gonna come out on top, especially once armor's in the game, like properly, and over-penetration and all those other things. You don't want to end up, you know, being prematurely recycled. The Idris P, fantastic. The Idris platform, like I said, very versatile in combat. It's a carrier-based unit, but the Idris M turns that and flips it on its head. It makes it a very aggressive combat ship. I would argue that the IDRIS M would still be highly effective in combat even without a fighter complement, just as a sort of supersized gunship. You know what I mean? It's a frontline fighter, proper mean machine. So yeah, the IDRIS M, my thoughts is, yeah, is it a hard ship to land on? Definitely. One of the limiting factors is that the hangar deck is inside a tunnel, and this is why I keep saying the Kraken is the carrier, right? Nothing comes close to carrying as many ships. But the IDRIS can carry 3 ships in an enclosed space, but those 3 ships have to be able to fit. The Gladiator, Gladius, and Saber, I'd say, are the easiest to land inside it, with my humble opinion. Or an Arrow, keep forgetting about the Arrow, such a small, cool little fighter ship. Those are the primary ships that you're going to be landing inside this thing, or even a Scorpius at a push. If you can get that top turret to fold down, it's totally worth it. However, things that won't fit, sadly, are things like an Eclipse. Now, I've put an Eclipse inside it before, but the room that it has to spare is ridiculous. There's no room. You're talking centimeters when trying to land on this thing. And yeah, sure, you might be able to cram a bunch of stuff in there, but my advice is this. When you're loading ships onto this, and the reason I like to stick to 3 fighters, even though you can cram a lot more in there, is 1, I like to have enough ordnance on the deck so that when those fighters come back, we can tractor beam the missiles straight on, or the bombs, straight onto the wings of those ships and get them airborne again, right? Not just that, though, I like to have enough room to maybe squeeze some cyclones in the side areas so that the fighters can still land, and the team on board, maybe a team of Marines, once you land the IDRIS, still have that combat effectiveness of being mobile once they're on the ground. So you can land far away, deploy the ground vehicles, take off, launch the fighters, have your air superiority game, but also give the ground team enough support for themselves, such as vehicles and things like that, that they can still do their job effectively. However, yeah, you can specialize. My buddy Machine realized that you can put 28 arrows inside my IDRIS, which I found interesting. It's like, you know, that's a lot of arrows. But as we know, mass will be calculated in the future. And with thruster effectiveness, especially maneuvering thrusters on something like a capital ship being tweaked and dialed down greatly when in atmosphere, it means that yes, an IDRIS will be able to hover in atmosphere, 1G of atmo. You're not going to be able to nose down and completely just blast anything on the surface, and for good reason. I'd hate that gameplay mechanic. It makes no sense. Having them behave more like cargo freighters, you know, like naval cargo freighters, like the ones you see crossing the Pacific Ocean, but in the sky, makes sense to me. It's a lumbering behemoth. It's a capital ship, and yeah, I love the fact that it can hover in atmo. That's cool. I like that, and I would love to see a capital ship engagement in the future with a fully fleshed out mechanics when it comes to atmospheric flight between 2 capital ships and atmo. First one to lose an engine is gonna be toast. You're just gonna see that thing start to sink in the sky like a giant recreation of like the Bismarck, right? But in the air. That's gonna be awesome. But yeah, like the IDRIS M is what this video is about, as I mentioned, and like I'm a huge fan. I absolutely adore it. I was lucky enough to manage to get one, and yeah, like it seemed like at the time the most logical investment moving forwards, and it was, personally thinking. For an organization, the one I run, of the size it is and the size we plan to grow to, there is a member cap. We don't want to go over a certain amount of people because we want everyone in the organization to be a name and be a person, not be just a number on a spreadsheet. So yeah, like when you have something like an IDRIS M as your frontline flagship, or, you know, like we have tons of Perseus, right? We have loads of Polarises and things like this, and we have IDRIS Ps and things like this. But an IDRIS M for the small to medium-sized organizations, even maybe the large ones, is the most viable option. Especially with the size 12, torpedo kit, the T kit, that changes the game. That turns your IDRIS into something that can launch more torpedoes than a Javelin. A Javelin can only launch 2 size 12 torpedoes at once, like at one time. The Javelin is more or less designed for Squadron 42. That's what it is. It's more of a set piece. Same as the Idris. The Idris is just a little bit more adaptable and leans itself more towards the PU. With the top speed of the Javelin being so damn slow with its maneuverability, it's not going to be catching anything, and you'd be a fool for trying to take one on in a fight. With its crew complement requirements, it's a lot of people to dedicate to one ship, when you can put less than half of that in an Idris M and have bring it to very devastating effect. You can field an Idris M and a ton of Perseuses and Polarises for the cost of a single Javelin, thus changing your mission's effective, like a toolbox, you could say, of things to use greatly. You can outflank things now. You know what I mean? You're not just all shoved into one big boat, and that's why I got rid of my Javelin. So yeah, highly recommend the Idris M to anyone out there who's thinking of maybe getting one in the verse, or maybe have that store credit floating around for a huge pack. I'd say go for it if you really, really want it. I did, and that's what I did. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the video. It's been another one of my long-ish videos. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got some nice visuals on the screen for you. I hope I threw in some screenshots too, so you can see some beauty pics I took of this thing. Me and my organization, we take this thing out all the time, and it's always a blast, you know what I mean? We're always having a good time, whether it's PvP, PvE, or we're just testing the durability of stuff with it, you know, or practicing our landings on the deck and all that good stuff. It's always a fun time. So yeah, fun is what you're trying to do, and fun with a sprinkling of effectiveness is what you want. Guaranteed money maker when it comes to combat missions, this is the ship for you. Unless you're like me and one of your friends likes to fire off all of your torpedoes just for fun, costing you nearly 150k in UEC every time you restock, then yeah, apart from that, it's a great money maker. I'm looking at you, machine. I'm looking at you and your trigger-happy fingers for my torpedoes. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video and for coming back after all these years. I'm just shaking the dust off, and we're trying to get this channel fired up again, making the videos that you, the viewers, love to watch, because that's what it's about. It'd make no sense if I was to start trying to jump on the gravy train right now. It seems like I've got so many videos in my recommended with people bashing the game, taking it apart, and I get it. People are frustrated, right? There's certain things which aren't so hot right now, like the flight mechanics and that sort of stuff, and people are complaining about certain things, but I'm sorry, that's just not where my head is at. I'm not going to be one of those guys. Never have been, never will be. I'm also not going to be someone who is unapologetically waving the flag for the game. Yeah, I'll point out things that I personally don't like, right? And, you know, things that I find a problem. But I'm not going to drag Star Citizen's name through the mud just for some views or some likes, some clicks or whatever, right? That's not what we do here. I try to have fun with the game, and I try to enjoy it, and the best way to enjoy it for me is playing it with my friends. You know, I've got an organization full of amazing people that I'm fortunate enough to call my close friends, and we play this game all the time, right? Whenever we're able to get together as a group on a Friday or a Saturday, we hit the verse big time. And we're out in the verse, and we're crushing it, you know what I mean? We're looking for pirates, we're looking for bounties, we're here to have a good time. And yeah, that's what it's all about. If you're interested in joining an organization that goes around and cracks some heads, you're more than welcome to join mine. If you're a lawful player, the organization's called the Death Corps Strike Unit. You will find a link to it in the description below, where you'll see all the fun stuff that we do. So yeah, thank you guys yet again for tuning in to another video. What ship would you guys like me to do a video on next? You know, put a suggestion down in the comment below. You know, what you'd like to see. What kind of videos would you like to see? Comment, talk, whatever, you know, I'll always be down in the comments whenever I'm available to talk to you guys. I love having a dialogue. I love talking to you guys. Seeing the amount of feedback I got on the last video about the TAC was awesome. I really love talking to you guys. Great to see so many of you turn out in the comments, and some familiar faces too. So yeah, thank you guys so much yet again for subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing the video, I guess, you know, and talking about it. It's huge to me, you know. It makes a huge difference, and it keeps the channel going, because if there's no interest, there's no point in doing it, right? So yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you all have an absolutely glorious weekend. It should be airing on a Saturday, this video, so do enjoy, And hopefully I'll see you in the verse. If you're a pirate, then look out for a size 10 railgun slug flying past your cockpit. Might just be us. Right, so take care, citizens. You know the drill. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.